Today I fucked up by making my kittens hate women. So this has been evolving over the last 4 weeks, but the fuck up was understood today. I am a man, M30, who due to a busy job and hundreds of other excuses have been single for my entire life. I am an avid nature lover and biologist, so last year I fostered 2 cats from my local shelter, whom I ended up adopting. Now when I adopted the 2 cats I was informed that they would be sterilized, vaccinated, and ID chipped. However, due to some miscommunication fast forward 1 year and I am now sitting here with 5 kittens on my lap. Luckily, kittens are in high demand this time of year, so these ones will find happy homes. However, for the first 12 weeks they are under my care. My single man 30 care. I have a decent social life. I've been lonely for a long time, but I have good friends and okay circle for socializing and a job which introduces me to many people. What I do not have though is a stable female companion. So for the last 4 weeks I've had 5 kittens growing up in my large house, and what I can honestly say is a very poor sex life. So yesterday the mom of some friends of mine came over to see the kittens. She has been helping me feed my cats when I am out traveling for work. But this time when she came into my living room the kittens fled and disappeared under favored hiding places. We thought nothing of it, and after some minutes they came out and started introducing themselves. Now to today's apparent fuck up. A lady from the local shelter came over to check up, take some pictures, and give them some meds. When she entered the living room 3 of the kittens flee and hide. 2 are sleeping and when the lady sits down next to them to cuddle they startle, hiss, and scratch at her. The lady from the shelter is used to cats but had never seen this from kittens ever. She asked me if I had done anything to them, and I of course refused as I love my cats above anything. She then asked, "Have they had any visitors?" I immediately answered with detailed accounts of all visits. A general summary. All my friends have been by to visit. All my male friends. Me and the lady laugh Abbott and I note, "So you're telling me I need to have more lady visits?" We both note the humor of this and she said I should invite some of my friend with girlfriends or some ladies from work over. Why? Because the kittens was becoming scared of women, especially female voices. So this is how my poor sex life and forever aloneness have been turning my kittens into women-hating little daddy's purrs. Too long did not read. My dating life is so poor that my kittens have become afraid of female voices and women visitors. Edit. Formatting plus. Self-docs. Cat tax. On the plus side, "Hey, do you want to come over and play with some kittens?" is a great opener. Hey op, in case you can't find anyone to come over, maybe try playing videos or shows where women talk. Like just leave it on for the kitties as something to get used to. Obviously a woman coming over would be better, but I am pretty sure a 30-year-old, cat lady, guy biologist, who owns his own house, can find a girlfriend. Just saying bro, you're dateable. Cat tax? Edit. The debt is paid, well done. As a woman can confirm asking a lady to come play with kittens will lead to success. I volunteer to come over and be a female influence over the 5 kittens in your house. Dude, ever considered having your own personal kitten army? This is my first time hearing about a misogynistic cat. Today I fucked up by not telling my crush I speak her native language. Obligatory. This happened a few days ago. About 6 months ago I met this wonderful Japanese girl in uni. She had attended an international school in Japan and her dad had worked in the US for 20 years, so she maintained native-level English and was able to study abroad here in the US very easily. Anyway, we hit it off really well and have a ton of things in common and became very close over the past few months. We often hang out at each other's places to watch anime or play video games, but so far it has been a very friendly and platonic relationship. Recently, I've begun to develop feelings for her, but I haven't really been able to muster up the courage to ask her out yet. I've been shot down several times in the past, so I've been very hesitant to going through confessions and heartbreak all over again. What I didn't tell her was that I had been learning Japanese on and off for about 6 years now. I'm very self-conscious and unconfident about my abilities, and the topic of me speaking Japanese never really came up, so I never mentioned it. I'm not exactly fluent, but I can understand a fair bit, and even though my speaking skills aren't very good, I can get around Japan perfectly fine, having spent a month there for travel. I also scan late, provide free translations online, for manga on the side every once in a while to keep my language skills up, but I never really told her about it either. A few weeks ago we were watching together when she had to take a call from her mother and excused herself to the kitchen to speak with her. I decided to play around on my phone while waiting, but I couldn't help but overhear the conversation she had with her. Based on her responses, her mother was essentially teasing her for me being her boyfriend, and why she hasn't asked me out yet. I overheard her say something along the lines of, which essentially translates to, I want to confess but I don't want to get rejected. I'm still thinking about when and how I'm going to do it. Naturally I became very excited. I tried to keep a straight face and not ask about it, but my heart was beating out of my chest at that very moment. I didn't want to pry and decided to just wait until she would just bring it up naturally when she's ready. Later on, she mentioned that her mother would be coming into town on a Saturday to bring some stuff over. We are usually at each other's places every weekend for a brief period of time just to get caught up with the latest anime episode. Last weekend was the premiere of a new season for an anime called Kaguya-sama Love as War, which we had planned to watch together. I told her no worries, I will just be in and out of her place so that I don't intrude on her family time. While watching the episode at her place, her mother ended up coming in early, so I had no choice but to say hi. I don't really know what came over me, but when her mother introduced herself to me in Japanese, I also responded back in Japanese. Back when I was visiting Japan, I got very accustomed to Japanese greetings when I met up with friends over there, so when I met her mom the instinct immediately came back to me. She was an incredibly nice and polite person and we had a full conversation about my major and future plans, etc. I looked back at my crush, apparently wide-eyed from me speaking Japanese to her mom, and I decided to excuse myself so that she could have some family time. Later in the day she texted me that she didn't know I speak Japanese, and I replied, "Well, you never asked." This was apparently the worst response I could have given because she got very angry. I didn't think this would be a huge deal, but I guess it did reveal that I understood what she was saying when she talked about her feelings for me to her mom over the phone. She ended up getting very upset about hiding an important detail from her, which I didn't think would make her so angry at me. She felt betrayed that I kept a secret like his from her for so long, and I tried to apologize, but she doesn't want to speak to me right now, and I feel like I just blew my chances. Do I say sorry? Or let it just cool off? I don't feel like I did anything wrong, as I feel like me being able to understand Japanese shouldn't be a huge deal, but she's still upset with me and doesn't want to talk. Too long did not read. I hid the fact I speak Japanese to my crush for 6 months, ended up overhearing a phone conversation that she likes me back and accidentally revealed to her that I speak Japanese and made her upset for keeping a big secret from her. Edit. I think the general response here is to apologize to her directly, and then to also confess my feelings for her as well. I don't want to ride on overconfidence that this will go well, but I would like the confession to be a little more elaborate rather than over text, so I am writing up an apology confession letter as we speak and bundling it with some chocolates, flowers, Pocky sticks, strawberry Kit Kats, so I will post an update on what she says hopefully tomorrow. Edit 2. More recent responses seem to indicate the chocolates and confession letter is a bad idea, so I'm going to scratch that and ask her to meet up tomorrow to talk about what had happened directly. She's mortified because she likes you and you found out this way. Apologize and ask her out, you idiot. Just do whole hog confession, man. Tell her you were scared to tell her about it, because you didn't want to screw her language up, and she gives you the stomach flips whenever you think about her. Tell her you have been trying to think of a way to tell her you like her. Which is all true, rolling on the floor laughing. Apologize, then ask her out in Japanese, obviously, haha. If this is something that is very important to her, it won't cool off, it can change feelings. You just need to be 100% honest with her, obviously. Does this not show you that? Honesty saves these kind of problems. Now, go get a hold of her, and bare your heart to her. It works, trust me. Stop playing games and tell her how you feel. Dude, you spend hundreds of hours with a Japanese, watch anime together and manage not to reveal that you know the language, man. Shrugging light skin tone, come on. Just be honest with her and tell her you were not confident enough to use your knowledge of Japanese. Sprinkle it with lots of apologies and flowers. And chocolate. Lots of chocolate. Does anyone ever write non-fiction stories in this sub? I just say, I'm sorry. I really wanted to impress you, but I was afraid if I tried to speak Japanese I would make a fool of myself. I don't want to make a fool of myself in front of you because I really like you, and I don't want to screw things up because I hope to someday have the courage to ask you out. Nice weeb fanfic. You're blowing this way out of proportion, but also you responded like such a dick for reasons I don't understand. You had a lay-up and decided to shoot a 3 and miss. Today I fucked up by buying useless land. This is an ongoing FU that I have been dealing with for the last 4 months. I met my girlfriend freshman year of college, 8 years later we are married and starting our careers. We thought it was time to buy a house together. We looked around at houses but we all know the market is trash. So we decided to build a house. Her parents have built before so we felt comfortable with them helping us through the process. We find some land, contract with a builder, and close on our construction loan. Mind you, a construction loan requires at least 10% down plus closing cost, so we end up forking up $50,000 with the help of my in-laws. Fast forward and we spend a year applying for permits. The municipality we are in is super strict. We submit all of our necessary documents including a $20,000 engineering plan and a critical area, wetland, report we inherited from the seller. The city gives us the green light to build and we pay the city $40,000 for permit fees. 2 weeks into construction I get a call from the city saying that a neighbor complained about a wetland deletion. The city comes out after the fact and inspects the land with a third-party biologist and shuts us down. They conclude most my site is a wetland and it will be nearly impossible to argue against it. I got in contact with the biologist who wrote the original report and he tried to defend himself only to be rejected. There may be some complicated way forward but that requires convoluted reasonable use laws that we don't qualify for according to the city. I have consulted multiple attorneys who have said the city has a right to do this and I have no case. Oh. Did I mention that the builder has locked us in a contract and the only way out is to pay the $30,000 cancellation fee? The equity on the house was supposed to offset these enormous expenses but now that's not happening. So here I am in my mid-20s trying to start my life and I am now $200 in the hole with no reasonable way out, drowning under my crippling anxiety. Too long did not read. Bought some land and tried to build a house. Turns out I can't build and I'm $200,000 in the hole in my 20s. Did I mention that the builder has locked us in a contract and the only way out is to pay the $30,000 cancellation fee? Not official advice, but under contract common law you can cite impossibility of performance, and your builder should not be able to lock you in unless you have a clause effectively stating the opposite. Depending on if you are in the U.S. and your state, look into wetland mitigation banking through the EPA, U.S. Corps of Engineers. Till. Permits don't mean shit and to never buy wetland. We submit all of our necessary documents including a $20,000 engineering plan and a critical area, wetland, report we inherited from the seller. The city gives us the green light to build and we pay the city $40,000 for permit fees. How the hell do you not have a case against the city who told you you could build and then they backtracked and said you couldn't? You paid all this money after you got the okay from the city? There has to be liability here. To me I'd sue the city for the costs you put up after receiving the okay to build. I've always thought a quick, and possibly cheaper, way to resolve this is just to get elected to council and then abuse your position for your own gain. It's not like the rest of the council can object, chances are they're doing the same. This might be a good time to file bankruptcy, but definitely look into other options first. $200K is a lot of money and 7 years isn't as long as you think. Is there no case against the biologist that wrote the bogus report? It strikes me as possible intentional fraud, and at a minimum gross incompetence. Also, what state, country are you in? You can probably purchase wetland credits, though in a lot of basins it is getting up close to $3 a square foot. So probably another $30K, but that may be better than taking other losses. I would be really tempted to investigate what the land can be used for, preferably something that would irritate the neighbor and generate a small income, and do that in the meantime. Today I fucked up by discussing wages with my coworker. This happened today. Well, thanks to Reddit, I don't hesitate to talk about my wages with fellow employees, when asked, since that kind of transparency is important and helps people get paid what they are worth. Anywho, my coworker recently applied for and received a professional license, which comes with a nice pay bump. Since I had received the same license and pay bump back in December, I had already told him what I was making. We have the exact same job. Well, this morning he sends me an email asking for a reminder on how much I make, and it turns out his recent pay increase was almost $2 lower than mine. Feeling happy I was able to watch out for my coworker, I continued on with my day. Fast forward a few hours and my coworker calls to tell me he confronted HR, and they informed him his pay increase was accurate, and that I was actually being overpaid. Our HR department has been a hot mess lately. due to accidentally being put on a grade 29 supervisor position, versus a grade 28. I just got an email from HR letting me know about this error, and how they need me to repay the difference, which is over $800. Needless to say, today has been pretty crappy. FML. TL. Doctor. Told my coworker how much I make, which led to him confronting HR, who found out I was being overpaid, and now I make less and they want me to pay back the difference. Yeah, no, you don't need to repay shit for their fuck up. I don't think you are legally required to pay back the money. Also, your coworker should have kept your name out his mouth. Did they tell you that they would be increasing your pay rate to $X, say $20 per hour, but paid you at $22? If they said $20 but were supposed to pay you $18, then that's on them. You have a written offer at $20 and they shouldn't make you repay it, as you couldn't have known it was an error. If they said you were going to get $18 and they paid you $20, then you should know and would be responsible for the overpayment. That is insane. They paid you that wage, even if it was by mistake. You worked for it, presumably. They should have no right to require it back. Do you have a contract or offer letter stating your pay at the higher rate? If you do, they can't do shit to reclaim your wages. They can probably reduce it going forward though. Depending on your location, you may have to pay it back. I would contact your local labor board and inquire within there. They can tell you. Your coworker is a stupid asshole for mentioning your name. You should tell them no and that you're gonna find a new job if they lower you wage.